got the green light. Do it again. Bulgarian has won it.
Green light, a three-way go, but Kormeti Ding has his head in front. Kormeti Ding, brilliant stuff. But Sparkling Water makes her statement.
The 127th edition of Africa's greatest sporting story will come your way from Hollywoodbets Greyville on Saturday, the 1st of July. It's wonderful to be here at the official panel discussion for the Hollywoodbets Durbanville, and I'm joined by some of the most proven and promising minds on the South African racing scene. It's wonderful to have the likes of Mike de Kock, Justin Snaith, Anthony Delpesh, Keegan de Mello and Atandiwe Mgudlwa to talk about the 18 runners plus 2 reserves for the Hollywoodbets Durbanville of 2023. Let's introduce them, starting off with Mike de Kock down the other end of the table. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. 5 Hollywoodbets Durbanville, starting with Ipi Tombi in 2002 to 2022 with Sparkling Water and everything in between. A roller coaster ride that it's been, and an unbelievable ride at the same time.
Sure has been, Alistair, that's for sure. I suppose the most special memory is definitely the first one, and the filly that went on to do great things abroad. I think if she had stayed, yeah, she could have probably won it again with top weight. And then last year was also really special with Mary breeding and owning the filly, and quite fitting, I thought. Yeah, it's been great.
Justin, you've won this race 5 times as well, but you've been through it all. You've dead heated in the race. You've won it in the boardroom with Legislate. You've also won a July behind closed doors during COVID. So you've seen it all.
Yes, my father always reminded me, and he kept saying I'm the only trainer to have won 2 Hollywood Durbanvilles without being in front at the finish line. So I went and won the next 3 ones. So sorted that out.
And it's still a feeling that never gets old, isn't it?
Oh, most certainly not. But I can tell you, getting beat is a lot worse, a lot more painful. To be, thanks to Mike last year, him winning, I still haven't seen the race. No, I don't think I will.
Well, the bad news is at the end of the segment, we're going to show you the race, but not to rub it into you, because Anthony Delpesh is here to give us a different insight. He's obviously won the race as a jockey, first one coming with Classic Flag in 1998, then the golden era of coming out to ride for Mike de Kock a few times. What does it feel like, though, just lifting that sash afterwards?
Well, as a jockey, this is the one race that, as a little apprentice, we always talked of getting a ride in the race, not just even winning the race. And I've been very, very lucky to have won it 4 times, and I've ridden very good horses there, and I always believe that good horses win the July. And the funny thing is, you don't really get to appreciate your very first one because it just hits you so hard. So every time I did win another one, I just took my time to enjoy it a little bit more. But it's a race that every jockey wants to dream, and every jockey wants to win.
Keegan de Mello is on his way to Hong Kong. Recently got his license granted to ride on the world stage, to be yet another South African champion, to go out and do the business on the world stage. But Keegan, obviously coming into the academy, not knowing much about racing. When was it? Just over 10 years ago or so, maybe a little more, 15 years ago. How long did it take you to realize, Hollywoodbets Durbanville, that's where I want to be?
I'm sure, like Anthony has spoken to, when you step into the academy, everyone's talking about the July, and it's something you really want to tick off, and only once you start sitting on better quality horses, you start realizing that it could come into fruition one day.
And then Atandiwe Mgudlwa, from 14 winners last season to well over 50 so far this season. It's your second Hollywoodbets Durbanville ride. The first one came behind closed doors. How much are you looking forward to walking out in the parade ring downstairs with your name called in front of a capacity crowd? What's that going to mean to you?
It's going to mean everything. I think Keegan and Anthony, they've already said that, it's, as a jockey, it's what you look forward to. And the first one, like you said, behind closed doors. So this is probably going to be like the very first experience. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
None of us can wait. We can't wait to get into it. Let's just quickly have a look at the betting for the Hollywoodbets Durbanville. Of course, these prices provided by the sponsors of Africa's greatest horse race, Hollywoodbets, and we got See It Again at the top of the board at 33-10. The reigning Daily News 2000 Splash Out Cape Derby winner with number 4 Winchester Mansion at 11-2. Number 2 without question is 7-1. That's trained by Justin Snaith. Then Mike de Kock trains number 14 Safe Passage, currently an 8-1 shot. Number 12 Pakai is at 10-1. Number 10 Dave the King at 25-2. Son of Raj winner of the South African Derby up in Joburg at 14-1, and then the winner of last year's Volkerbosdrift Triple Tiara, Rain in Holland at 16-1, along with number 15 Rascallion. 11 Puerto Manzano will get the services of Keegan de Mello, is at around 20-1 as well. Of course, those prices are subject to change and will change going into the Hollywoodbets Durban July at 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Right, let's get into the nitty-gritty for the 18 runners plus 2 reserves and figure out what's going on and try and find a winner and pick the brains of the people here. Let's start off with reserve number 2. It's Jimmy Don, trained by Erico Verdenese, and he will need 2 scratchings to get into the race. He was doing most right throughout his 3-year-old campaign, but a run in the Jubilee Handicap last time up probably put paid to his chances. Mike, if he got a run, is his Joburg form good enough to finish in front of the likes of Son of Raj?
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced about the Joburg 3-year-olds, full stop. I do believe the Cape Town 3-year-olds are superior, and I think their ratings show just how much superior they are. Plus, I would believe the distance to be a little bit of an issue. He went for the 1800, I think, for the second time last time, and got beaten at handicap terms. Honestly, I'd be surprised.
And then Atandiwe, I want to ask you about number 19, Nabras, who's the first reserve. So if there's one scratching, he will get a run. The reason why I'm asking you about Nabras is because you obviously take a ride for Sean Terry in the race and bless my stars. Nabras also from Sean Terry's yard. Any inkling, any hint of how he might be doing?
I'm pretty sure he's doing well. I mean, Mr. Terry will always have them fit and well for the day. But unfortunately, I haven't sat on him this season, so I'm not quite sure exactly as to how he's doing, but he has proven to be a good horse, so yeah, maybe does he get any, he'll have a fight.
Yeah, one thing you know about Nabras is that he has got tons of heart. Now, with that betting board, we're going to flip things over. We're going to start with the biggest outsiders and then go through the runners in the inverted order, starting off with the biggest outsider, number 13 on the card, Second Base, who's trained by Robin Claassen, recently taken out her trainer's license. Chase Morjan takes the ride, but one man who knows Second Base very well is Keegan de Mello, who rode him in a few races. He, of course, got very close to your rod Puerto Manzano last time in the President's Champions Challenge. Big outsider, number 13, Second Base, ran in this race last year. Are there more negatives than positives?
I think more negatives than positives. His horse, he's run his best races off a slow pace. He quickens up very well, but he doesn't really try once he hits the front. And obviously last time Robin managed to get the best out of him, and when you see him run to his best, you see him run a good race like last time. But I just don't think he has a big race temperament.
Will he be suited to Hollywoodbets Greyville as well? There's that last run in the World Sports Betting Premiers Champions Challenge when just getting snared by Puerto Manzano. But again, coming to a tighter track, will that be against him?
I think it would probably suit him a little bit better, because when he turns it on, he's got a good turn of foot. But in saying that, like I said, you got to catch him right on the day, and you just don't know which Second Base is going to come to the course.
Right, let's get on to the second biggest outsider. This is number 3 on the card, Time Flies, will be the runner for the Hollywood Syndicate. It would be absolute magic if the Hollywood Syndicate were to have the winner of the Hollywoodbets Durban July, but will it be with Time Flies? Louis Mqotwa having an unbelievable season. Brett Crawford raiding with success from the half-elf. Anthony, what's the report card?
Well, she's doing very well. She's obviously a filly that got really punished last time when she ran second. She got 21 pounds, and obviously it hasn't helped her with the weights and coming into this race. At the weight, she's really got it all to do. But saying that, I believe that she's a filly that is on the up, keeps on improving and getting better. And she's only had 3 runs with the cheek piece, and she's only been beaten once. And I feel she's got a good draw. She's a filly that have speed, and if you're looking for a dark horse in the race, she could be the dark horse.
Let's go on to number 5 on the card, Billy Bowlegs. Trained by Alec Laird, who won this race in 1996 with London News, who was drawn 20 out of 20 under Piers Stratham. Billy Bowlegs has drawn 5. Sean Veal takes the ride, currently at a price of around 40 to 1. Mike, I'm going to start with you, being a Joburg-based horse. I know that you already answered the first part of the question through Jimmy Don, but number 5, Billy Bowlegs, will he be suited to Hollywoodbets Greyville? Always looked like he was doing his best work a bit too late at Turfington.
Yeah, another one that looks like that, again, comes from the Joburg 3-year-olds. But, at the weights, he's actually better off at the weights with Rain in Holland, who he ran with in the Premiers, obviously with Porto Manzano. So in theory, he should be able to turn it around with the horses that he ran with in that race. And he comes off a similar prep as Sparkling Water last year, in that he hasn't raced between the 2 races, so he comes in quite fresh. Whether I see him as a July winner, I don't think so. I mean, I know he's got a few things in his favour, given certainly the weight being one of them and the draw. So I would expect him to turn the form around with the Joburg 3-year-olds and the Premier's horses, but I'm not convinced he looks like a winner to me.
Let's now go on to top weight, number 16, Trip of Fortune. Candice Bass-Robinson won this race with Marinaresco, and of course Trip of Fortune will get the services of Aldo de Meyer. Was a bit puzzling when he got supplemented at the very, very last moment. He's a 40 to 1 shot, got draw 16, saddle cloth 16. Justin, you'll know him quite well, although he hasn't been in Cape Town since the start of the year. He's been doing his racing in Joburg and in Durban. Do you think he's got it between the ears to win a race like the Hollywoodbets Durban July, just if you take Trip of Fortune as the individual?
Yeah, look, and I think certainly the 16 draw won't help. They'll probably give him a chance, but I was surprised to see him supplemented. If you wanted people talking about the race and things like that, this certainly got people talking. All of a sudden, he was in the race. The weights were altered accordingly. For me, in this race, I always watch what the punters do. They seem to be the ones that know more than you think, I can assure you. They're the ones that are putting their money out there, and you look at the price and the betting on him, and that for me was a sign, that he's so wide in the betting, which I was surprised because he is a nifty horse. I mean, his form is as strong as any other horse in this race. But the punters are just not having it, and they don't see him getting the distance. And for me, when I'm studying this race, it's something I certainly take into play.
Mark, with your handicapping hat on, are you surprised to see him here?
Well, he did make the race very interesting in that he pushed the weights down and allowed a few of the 3-year-olds to actually get more of their allowances. So he, with him in the race, a few horses' chances improved. Especially in the 3-year-old division. So, he wins 14s and miles pretty well. There has to be a massive question over the trip to me, especially he's giving the whole field weight.
Right, let's go on to number 8, Silver Darling, another owned by the Drakenstein Syndicate nominee Gaynor Rupert. Justin Snaith trains, JP van der Merwe takes the ride. She, of course, has won a Grade 1 here at Hollywoodbets Greyville in the form of the Willavington. Justin, as far as your runners are concerned, where does Silver Darling fit in?
Look, I think on paper, you probably should be the 5th choice of my 5. If you look at it as the form lines going into this race, she was beaten in the Willavington, and those horses that beat her, I mean, Time Flies is one of the outsiders. On paper, it doesn't look good for her, but I've waited for this race with this filly for a long time, purely on breeding. She's by a stallion that is probably one of the most successful stallions in this race. She's got all the stamina in the world, and for me, which Atandero was talking about earlier, this will be his first ride in front of 50,000 people in the Hollywood Durban July. It's the same for a filly like this. She's got the temperament. She doesn't pull. We can place her wherever she wants. This race can be won and lost in the first furlong. I do think that she will help herself in this race, whereas a lot of these horses won't. I've got some here that may over-race at the wrong time. She is a filly that I think she's going to give herself the best chance. And I've got jockey who is as unconscious as she is, JP van der Merwe. He's in great form. He deserves his opportunity in this race, and I don't care which one of mine win, and if it's her, it'll be absolutely amazing.
Right. Number 1 on the card is Bless My Stars, who will get the services of Atsandiwe Mgudwa. Man who's won this race a few times, Sean Tarry, trains number 1, Bless My Stars. Atsandiwe, how are you feeling going into this race? Is draw 1 a blessing? Is draw 1 a curse? What do you make of it?
Yeah, here the guys that have ridden in the race before, like they obviously don't, draw 1 is not favoured. But from what I felt on her when I won on the Joburg, I think it's actually a very good draw for her, because I think if I was drawn anything from 10 down, it wouldn't have worked out for her. But I think for her, it's actually a draw that she wants. She'll be able to hold her own, and I'm positive about it.
How important was it, the fact that you've been up to Joburg, ridden her in a race, got practice in the middle? How much did you learn about her in that run?
It helped me a lot, because now not only do you just watch the videos and see it, but sitting on her gave me the idea of the type of fella she is, and she suited my riding style as well. And yeah, going there was very important, and I think it's made it a big positive for me.
And bottom weight's dangerous.
Bottom weight, she's got that, and in my eyes, I don't think she's done much wrong. Obviously, this is going to be a true test for her, but Mr. Terry, he's done it years and years, and he was never going to leave in a race like this if he didn't think she had a chance. So that's, for me, that's a plus.
So there we go. There's the first third of the field for the Hollywoodbets Durban July. Just a reminder that Hollywoodbets are offering plenty on the day. One of them is the Hollywoodbets Bonanza, where you can win a car. There's 1 million rand in prizes up for grabs, and of course it includes a Golf 8 GTR, which I think some jockeys drive, so you can drive off feeling like a jockey, looking like a jockey, maybe feeling like the winning jockey of the Hollywoodbets Durban July. All you need to do is take a 15 rand racing bet, and all branch bets and online bets qualify. So get onto hollywoodbets.net or get into your nearest Hollywoodbets branch, enter the competition, and who knows, you could be driving away in a Golf 8 GTR among plenty other prizes, 1 million rand in total. We'll be back after the break to discuss some of the horses at shorter prices for the Hollywoodbets Durban July.
Tip your way to the top in the Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge. Play this thrilling free-to-enter prediction game on all South African and selected international race meetings. Select your favorite horse per race or take advantage of a quick pick option and enjoy the ride. The more wins you pick on the day, the further up the points ladder you will go. 1 million rand can be won every race meeting for selecting all the winners on the day. Over 50 million rand has already been won. Play the Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge today and climb the leaderboard to glory.
Welcome back as we get into the second third of runners for the Hollywoodbets Durban July, those that are priced at 20 to 1 and shorter. We'll start off with the reigning Summer Cup winner of the Premier's Champions Challenge up at Turfentine. It's the Argentinian bred Puerto Manzano, who'll be ridden by Keegan de Mello. Keegan, he ran in this race last year. He obviously didn't rip up any trees in the race last year, but he looks like a better, sounder, happier, stronger horse 12 months down the line. What are your expectations? Do you think the attributes of having the tenacity to win a race will stand him in good stead here, or do you think that the course is just simply against him?
I definitely think it'll hold him in good stead. The fact that he's a horse that's oozing on a lot of confidence at the moment, and he's a horse he wants to win. Obviously, the negative is he hasn't really performed out of Johannesburg, so that is a big concern. He's a big horse and he's a grinder. He enjoys that longer straight where he can just build up, and I think hopefully he doesn't find himself under early pressure, because I think that'll definitely blow his chances.
Mark, is that Joburg form good enough? 2 grade 1s up at Turffontein, 2 good wins, 2 back-to-the-wall wins, but is it good enough?
Yeah, look, I think more than anything here with him is the track. I think he's had a couple of starts at Greyville and not run well. So in short, I think the track's a problem for him.
Now, there'll be 2 seriously popular winners of the Hollywoodbets Durban July if they were to win. One of them, See It Again, who's the favourite, but the other one is his relation, his 3-part brother. Do It Again, the grand old man, the 2-time winner of the Hollywoodbets Durban July, looks to be in the pink of health, judging at his gallop the Thursday before. Justin, how is this great old man doing?
You cannot have this horse at 20 to 1 in the Hollywood Durban July. He goes to the gallops, Everyone says, oh, horse is 8. Well, I saw a broodmare win at Royal Ascot in foal at 8 years old, and I can tell you, I don't think there's too many horses in South Africa that could win at Ascot. He goes to the gallops. He runs the fastest 400 to finish. He was set off from the mile. That's on the bit on his own. He ran at 21.9. That's not the signs of an old horse, I can assure you. If it is, then where were all the other horses on the day? He's just idling at the moment. He's extremely well. He brings a lot of positive into this race in that this is what he's always looked for. The 2,200, we very rarely have it in South Africa, run at a good pace. And that's when he comes alive. When a lot of these horses, they just are not going to be able to sustain the pressure, what happens on a race day with 50,000 people around. He's that type of horse. A draw suits certain horses. The 6 draw for him, I think, is perfect. I think I was very fortunate. We were toying between riders, and I do think we have the right rider for him. Gavin Lorena is perfect. He needs a kind rider, somebody that's a little bit of a horseman that can work out a situation when, if needed. Gavin is that big race type rider. He's won this race before. Perfect rider for this horse at this time. It wouldn't surprise me, and it most certainly would be the biggest moment in my career if he was to pop up.
And he would be a record maker as well if he were to win the first horse, to win 3 Hollywoodbets Durban July. Let's now go on to Pomp and Power, and I'll stick with Justin, the bipolar son of Vercingetorix, but the awfully talented son of Vercingetorix. Justin, have you got to the bottom of this horse now?
And here we go about the draws. Perfect draw. I wouldn't want any other draw for this horse than an 18 out of 18. He's got to stay out the trouble. Bernard can... I'm going to leave it to Bernard. He's a perfect jockey and horse combination. Everything's gone right. His temperament's a lot better. He showed in the Cape season that he didn't do anything wrong. But if he runs to his best form, yes, he has a chance. But he is his own worst enemy, I'm afraid to say.
It's win or bust with him, isn't it?
Completely. But if he does run to his best form, he can win this race.
Anthony, draw 18 for Pomp and Power. You won from the same draw with Classic Flag. Justin says that's a good draw for Pomp and Power. Is that an uncomplicated place to be in the Hollywoodbets Durban July?
Well, I think Classic Flag never had the problem that Pomp and Power has got. I think his biggest problem is his temperament, and sadly, for me as a jockey, when it comes to the big day, there is a lot of noise and a lot of time. You have to wait at the gates, and he's a difficult horse, but if you go onto his World Sports Betting Met run, I mean, it's a phenomenal run. I mean, he should have won the race. He was a really unlucky horse. So I think if his temperament can hold, then he could be a dark horse in the race.
On we go to number 15, Rascallion. Vaughan Marshall trains and Corne Orfer takes the ride. There's a school of thought that believes that this is probably the best handicapped horse in the race. Rascallion's been at Summerveld for a good few months, and Atsendiwe Mgudwa has been doing the rounds at Summerveld. Can you see him winning the race, though? Is he good enough? Is he just a nearly man?
You know, he always just seems to run behind the best. I mean, obviously now it could be different. There's quite a bit of negatives about him with the draw. Is he good enough to come from that draw and run those young 3-year-olds down? That's a bit of a question mark. So for me, I mean, you can have him for placings, but I think he's got his work cut out a little bit.
Justin, you'll know him quite well from Cape Town. You also know about placing horses right, as does the man on your left. Does he fit the bill?
He's the one I can't figure out in this race. He looks very fit, I must be honest. I've seen him at the track in the mornings. He's very, very fit. Vaughan's got him ready for this race. I just don't know if Vaughan's in the form he was in last year. Vaughan last year was in hot form. He's not quite in the same form this year. From that draw, he's going to have his work cut out because you may have to force the issue and then they slow down a bit, and can he come back again? You want to be well weighted in this race. For me, weights are everything. And that he has got. It would be a surprise for everyone, I do think, if he were to win. Certainly a horse that, if things go his way, could be in the money, yes.
Dave the King, one of the better looking horses in the race, probably the best gallop put out last Thursday. Craig Zaki takes the ride for Michael de Kock, and he's a horse that seems to be going from strength to strength. Mark, the burning question is, will he stay?
A massive question mark. I think he's been getting better and better. I think he's in better form than he was for the 2000. But if one looks at that race, See It Again came from behind him. There's only a kilo between them now. Does that turn the form around? It's going to be tough. And the other 3-year-old, without question, who now gets a kilo from him, was running on at him. So an extra 200 meters is certainly going to stretch this horse. Ability-wise, he deserves his place and he deserves his rating. I have no doubt about that.
And is he the pace angle in this race? And do you really want to be in front on the Hollywoodbets Durban July?
I wouldn't mind riding a horse that, if it's in front, doing it easy and things are going his way. Not a problem at all, because you're out of trouble. So I think more the trouble is behind you. But I think with this horse, tactics is really going to be a big part in him winning the race. Especially, there's a question mark about him seeing the trip. So is he going to be allowed to dictate, or is something going to go in front of him? Obviously, Mike's got all the cards and he'll hold the cards until the race time. But I definitely make this horse a really, really big runner. And as a jockey, I'd love to ride this horse.
What would you do?
I wouldn't tell you yet. No, I would. I think he's a kind of a horse that he's got the natural speed. So he's never going to get you into trouble in this race, because he's got the speed to get up forward. If I was allowed to dictate the race, I would dictate. If something wanted to go in front of me, I wouldn't mind. I would almost ride him the same as Igugu. The first part of the race, I was in front. Nobody took me on. I think they took me on going through most probably the 1400, went around me and I sat second. If I was riding him, I was Craig, I'd go back and watch that video. I ride him exactly the same way as I rode Igugu. I wasn't worried. I was happy to stay in front, but someone to come around me, I let him come around me. He stayed on there last time to See It Again. He didn't go away from See It Again. I think this is a serious horse. I think if anything had to beat See It Again, it would be this horse.
Very, very interesting indeed. As we now go into number 17, Rain in Holland, the Wilgeborgsdrift Triple Tiara winner from 2022. She's drawn 17, but has Samango Kamalo on board for Sean Terry, the heavy metal combination from a decade earlier. Mike de Kock, would it be fair for me to say that she's probably a more decorated version of Sparkling Water this time last year, but probably just a slightly worse handicap version?
Well, she comes in here with 56.5. She was 53.5 last year. She's tough, this filly. She's been on the go for a long time. If one looks at the race that Porto Manzano won, she ran third, I think. She was probably the run of the race, in that she got squeezed late and could have been, I don't know if she could have won it, but she was certainly going to be closer. But she had on her outside Billy Bowlegs, who's slightly better off at the weights with her now. Silver Darling, I think, gets a kilo from her, if I'm correct, on the last 1.5 kilos. And Silver Darling was actually running on quite strongly at her last time. So, she's got her work cut out with one or two that she's met, direct lines of form.
Atandiwe, you know Samango Kamalo very well. When Bling's in the mood, how devastating is Bling?
It can be deadly, but you got to have the right bling, and yeah. You got to have the right bling.
Do you think he can win it on Rain in Holland? Has she got what it takes?
She's definitely, she's proven to be a good filly. So, you can't say she can't win. It'll be interesting what it does, though, from that draw. I think for me, that's an interesting one.
We now move on to the winner of the South African Derby at Turfentine. It's Son of Raj. Muzi Yanni takes a ride for Wayo Mowing. Keegan DeMello won on him when winning the Derby. Another horse pretty much the same as Puerto Manzano in that I'm not too sure how he'll handle Hollywoodbets Greyville. Do you have those similar concerns?
I do, yes. He's a horse that he probably wants a galloping track. I was just very fortunate last time that things did plan out, when he won the Derby with me, that things did plan out and I was able to attack early and get away from the field. And yeah, Billy Bowlegs was behind him, but Billy Bowlegs had to come from last that day, and I thought tactically I rode the right race, and and it worked out.
Would you ride him positively?
I think he would have to from that draw. He's halfway through the field. I think he would have to do that.
Let's go on to number 12, Pakaya, one of the interesting runners in the race. Justin Snaith trains, Grant van Niekerk takes the ride, and he's been teed up, been almost Bulgarianed into this race, Justin. He was probably one of the last horses to get in to stamp his place in the Hollywoodbets Durban July, but none of that matters now. He's here. Can he win?
It's been a long road with him, getting him to the race. Borderline getting in, not getting in is where you want to be. We were, I think we nailed it at the weights. He's a little bit under sufferance now that Triple Fortune came into the race, which it may have cost us a kilo or so. Bar that, I thought we absolutely nailed this horse's prep into this race, giving him a chance. Whether he's good enough or not, he doesn't have to be the best horse in the race, of 53. The 3-year-olds are giving him weight. Rain and Holland's giving him weight. Everyone is. It's a huge advantage. I think the right jockey, Grant van Niekerk, we all know what he's capable on the day. And got to give him a big chance, this horse. He has to. I mean, this is the plan from a long way out. Everything's gone well. He is, I wouldn't say he's purring at home. He's a little bit on the too well side. I need to manage this very carefully in the next few days to ensure that he arrives at the course in tip-top condition. He's very well, but it can go the other way. So I'm monitoring it very carefully. Very happy into this race. All going well. Certainly a horse that could easily fight this race out.
Very, very good comments indeed. We've got 4 runners to do after the break. There'll be Safe Passage, without question, Winchester Mansion and See It Again. But just before we get there, don't forget about Hollywoodbets 15% matching bonus. So what that means is up to 20,000 Rand deposit into your Hollywoodbets account for the Hollywoodbets Durban July. Hollywoodbets will match up to 15% of that deposit. So yet another philanthropic gesture done by Hollywoodbets to get you involved on the first Saturday of July. 4 runners to go, and then dissecting some important races leading up to the big one. Don't go away.
I've ridden over 2,000 winners, including 2 Hollywoodbets Durban Julys. But there's something about me most people don't know. Horses intimidate me sometimes. Half a ton of pure muscle that gallops over 60 kilometers per hour. Unpredictable, deserving of respect. But once we're in the stalls, the horse and I become one athlete, one force, one goal. To find the star within.
Welcome back. Let's get through last year's place getter of the Hollywoodbets Durban July. Safe Passage, yet another to run in the famous Drakenstein colours. Mike de Kock, the trainer, and Christophe Soumillon out from Europe will be taking the ride. The man who, of course, swept all before him on Cape Met Day at the start of the year. Very, very interesting, eye-catching and ear-pricking jockey booking indeed. But, Mike, his gallop here didn't look all that pretty. Is that just him? And how far, or how close rather, is Safe Passage to this time last year when, of course, he ran an unbelievable 3rd in the Hollywoodbets Durban July?
Yeah, the preps have been completely different. Last year, he came off a sort of 3-week illness. And again, I went into the Daily News thinking, well, if he runs 4th or 5th, it'll be a cracking run because he's not ready and he's not working well and whatever. He wins. You know, so he's just that type of horse that as a trainer, you know, we all like to see them work well, let's face it. But I mean, that's why bookmakers are rich, is from those morning glories. The ones that are mowing everything down in the morning and running nowhere at the races. You know, I mean, that's why, you know, Hollywoodbets can sponsor nice races like this. Because of horses like that. So he's one of those that are totally opposite. The jockey booking was a bit of a fallback. I mean, I'm perfectly happy to have Christophe, but I was in trouble finding a jockey for the horse, and Christophe, being a family friend, was we've won many races in Dubai, Hong Kong, everywhere with him. We raced in America with him. Probably a good thing having 1 or 2 of these celebrity jockeys at the meeting. It does definitely give the meeting a bit of a lift, and I'm sure there'll be betting interest in all the races that he has runners for sure.
Let's now move on to number 2, without question. Justin Snaith and Richard Fourie team up. Combination that started with Legislate in 2014, and they've not looked back with Do It Again once and with Bulgaria in the same combination. Now, without question, Were you surprised that Richard chose him, Justin?
I was very interested to hear what some of the other panels have said, and Anthony is very correct in saying, like, when you ask Anthony, would you want to ride this horse in the race? Would you want to ride that? And I think that's what it comes down to in this type of race. It's the Africa's greatest race. Everyone wants to win. You got no friends out there when the starting stalls open. And I think that's what lured Richard into this ride. It's very easy. It's very simple horse, big action, sound, touch wood. He's got everything going for him. He gets a bit of weight from the favourite. Everything's going the right way. I'm getting more and more confident as we're getting closer to the race. Richard, I think he could be on the right one here, but a good draw can become a bad draw in this race in a matter of stride. If he's good enough, he'll win. It's as simple as that. It's down to him to go out there and win this race. I think we've done everything we possibly can to give him that opportunity.
Now, on to number 4, Winchester Mansion, who suddenly arrived and made waves. Kabelo Matsanyani takes a ride for Brett Crawford, and he too has been perfectly prepped coming into this race. His win last time in the Dolphins Cup trial was out of the top draw. The big question here is he good enough? Justin, I know that you don't train him, but it's clients of yours. If you go back a year ago again, would you have thought that he'd get this far? Now he's very much in the conversation as a likely winner.
Certainly the gelding has helped both horses. Him and Pakaya were horses that had lots of ability. Because of the ability, you take that sometimes a little bit longer for it to happen. His last run, the Cup trial, for me was very impressive. For everyone, it was very impressive. I do think wherever he finishes, Pakaya could be just in front of him. He has travelled back and forth. I think this is the 3rd time that he's travelling back. 2 times you get away with it, which we will see with Rain in Holland. Whether you can do it 3 times in a row is going to be a question mark. If it all goes smoothly and he travels well, certainly one of the horses that everyone's got to respect.
Well, funny enough, Mark, that was exactly my question to you, because it's a well-known school of thought. You can raid in twice. This is an experiment from Brett Crawford. The satellite yard that he's got in Joburg, raiding from altitude, is obviously working. But the 3rd time, is it going to be just as lucky?
Yeah, look, he has the advantage of being at altitude. If one looks at what happens in Europe, I mean, horses go from island to the continent, week in, week out. Horses, are quite resilient. There is maybe a little advantage as well, at being at altitude for sure. But 3 times I've not seen it done. Very interesting, as Justin says, to observe what Brett's doing. It's worked very well for them. They've done a good job.
And then on we go to the favourite, the KZN-based See It Again, trained by Michael Roberts. And of course, he won this race in 1997 with super quality. He was trained by David Ferrara. See It Again has taken off this year. He won the Splash Out Cape Derby. He won the Daily News 2000. His second year in the World Sports Betting KZN Guineas was absolutely sensational as well. Let's go to the KZN boys. Anthony, how much would it mean to the province if See It Again were to win? I mean, we talk about July fever, how much it's bitten this year, mainly because, we all know that we can come to Hollywoodbets Greyville. This time last year, we were still thinking, would we be allowed? We ended up being allowed. But now the favourite is a KZN boy. It's going to be a lot.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be fantastic for Michael, and he's won this race, and to train a July winner would be unbelievable. And what I like about this horse is Michael as a soft trainer. There is more improvement. The horses just improve every time, and I believe getting that extra 200 meters is going to suit him even better. My only concern is he doesn't come out the gates very well. If you go back and look at every time he runs, he's like half a length slow out the gate. I think he's definitely, for me, the best horse in the race, the best 3-year-old in the race. I don't know how good the older horses are, but he's definitely the best 3-year-old in the race. And as a jockey, I always believe the best 3-year-old wins the July. My biggest concern with him is, does he get trapped in behind? But if he does get a clear run up the straight and everything goes smooth, he's the horse they're going to have to beat.
Asandiwe, is he the horse that they all need to beat?
Definitely. I think he's showed that he's quite something. He's definitely going to be the horse that we'll all have to chase down. He's shown that. I mean, his win in the Daily News was a very good win. It was fluent, and he won with quite a bit in hand. So he's definitely the horse you all going to have to chase.
Right, so there are the 18 runners, but now let's move into some reruns that might well be key to winning the Hollywoodbets Durban July. Let's go back 12 months to the 2022 version, which was won by Sparkling Water. She's not here this year. She's gone off to make baby. She's got a very, very happy life ahead of her. But let's have a look and see if there's anything that might well have changed. Of course, in this race was Do It Again, Safe Passage, Puerto Manzano, Pump and Power, and second base. Anthony, Sparkling Water in the box position. Was it as straightforward as it looked?
I felt the jockey actually won the race because the first 200 meters of the race where he was drawn in the position that he put himself, he really, really rode a good race. And sometimes you say, did the horse win the race? I believe at this time, the jockey actually won the race. He rode a fantastic race, put the horse in the right position, and that's why the horse won.
Justin, you had a few near misses in behind, Jet Dark staying on. He's obviously gone to become a stallion, but Do It Again was exposed a long way out, wasn't he?
Did you enjoy that replay?
That's the first time you've seen it.
Yeah. Oh, there was a cracking replay.
All right, we'll let Justin wallow. Mark, you ran third with Safe Passage in this race last year. Just having a look at that. Any hard luck stories?
Not really. A little tight at one stage, but, you know, the second horse comes from well behind him. Actually, was he last, Justin? Coming this way.
Mike actually went back to go, yes. We weren't drawn that badly, but we were far back, yes. But your jock just rode so well.
Yeah, no, different.
Take nothing away from you just nailed it, Shmonga.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, it was a good run for him, and I think he had 53 and a half. You know, again, we're looking at 3-year-olds there with 56 and a half. Now, I don't know what the last winner of the July as a 3-year-old was. So could it be Comedy Ding?
Comedy Ding won as a 3-year-old, draw 18. Gavin Lorena sweated.
But I'm talking about the last. So what would he have carried?
53, I think.
53 and a half. I have a 3-year-old one with more than 54 and a half.
Mike, Legislate did, but they raised the whole field. So the whole field was raised.
Did Legislate win?
Yes.
I thought he ran second.
No, he won.
Is he the one who won in the
boardroom? He was correctly placed first, yes.
Let's have a look at the Mets from the start of the year. It was a very messy race indeed. Of course, the race was won by Jet Dark, but Pump and Power was in this race. Rascallion, Rain in Holland, and Do It Again were all here. And now this was properly messy, as you can get at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth through a false pace. What actually happened here? Pump and Power probably being the eye catcher here. We want to have a look at him in the light blue, making his run towards the left-hand side.
Yeah, I think it was a great ride by Richard because Richard was sitting one off the fence and he could see the pace of the race had slowed down really, really slow. And Richard pulled out 3 deep and made his run for the outside. And I think he got the momentum on the whole field. And Pump and Power was a really unlucky horse. Couldn't get a run all the way through. But that's where it comes to what wins the race. And I thought that was the jockeyship that really won the race.
Sure. When I watch that again, Justin, and I'm going to make the same statement for Rain in Holland, phew, that was hair-raising.
Yeah, so what happened was Grant's actually the first guy that comes into the straight and heads out and sets the mood. But on that day, everyone was coming to the outside. Comes over and gives Jet Dark a bump. And it actually that's what Richard said. He always had the race. But when he took the bump, it just put him under more pressure. He always knew he would get back there and win the race, but it certainly caused him a bit of heart failure. Pump, very unlucky, coming from the back of the field, never got a run. But fortunate that Jet Dark was in front at the time.
Let's move into the Champions Challenge, which was run at Turfentine in late April. This was won by Puerto Manzano, who Keegan rode. This was also a bit of a messy race because Rain in Holland probably didn't get the run of the race. To be fair, neither did the winner, Puerto Manzano. Keegan, there you are on the far side rail on the red sleeves. Going through this stage, did you think, well, here we go, I'm going to be an unlucky loser?
I wouldn't say unlucky loser. I just didn't ever think I was going to win the race. You know, I was probably the first horse off the bridle, off a very slow pace. And he just couldn't sprint with them. And like I said earlier, he just gets himself out of trouble and pulls himself off the canvas. And I thought that day he had no right to win it. So afterwards I was very emotional because he's a special horse to me. And for him to pick himself up like that was truly exceptional.
Let's go on to the Daily News 2000, which of course was won by See It Again, the ruling favourite for the Hollywoodbets Durban July. And of course here we had Son of Raj, Without Question, and Dave the King as horses that were in this race. And this looked pretty uncomplicated, but if you consider how easily See It Again won, what's going to change come the first Saturday in July?
Well, that is the biggest. That's obviously where luck and running, and there he had the room from early on to get going early. And you see, the July is going to, it's as much as he is the best horse, I think he needs the luck, because he's not going to help himself out the gate. So he needs to be able to find himself in a good position, which he's got a jockey that knows how to win the race. And I believe sometimes when you've got those guys on a horse that understands how to win the race, Pierre, he wants to win this race more than any other jockey, because then he holds the record for winning it the most than any other jockey.
And likely finally retire. And then on to the 1900, which was also here at Hollywoodbets Greyville just under 2 months ago. This race was, of course, won by Pakaya. Winchester Mansion and Rascallion, two horses that were in here. Atandiwe, you rode in this race. You were never really a factor, but the way that Pakaya and Winchester Mansion ran past you, did they give you evidence as likely Hollywoodbets Durban July winners? And how was the race run? Was it steady pace the whole way?
It was a fair enough race, but in the position I was in, I actually ended up, Richard was on my outside, and he was always a winner. He was very confident about it, and he got his running early on, and the horse took his time to get there, and it was a fluent win after all. And yeah, it was a fair race.
Yeah, I wonder
from where I was, it was a fair race.
I wonder if we've gleaned anything from those 5 reruns. 5 races that probably didn't go according to plan for a lot of horses in behind, but still 14 runners just highlighted there throughout those 5 races. Right, let's just quickly get into the grips of it all. I'm not going to ask the guys to tip the winner of the July. They're obviously going to tip their own horses. But Mike, not from your stable, who's the horse that you're most worried about?
I think the 2 very well handicapped older horses in Winchester Mansion and Pakaya, for me, they fall into almost the bracket of a sparkling water last year. And if one goes back to their early form, you know, they both ran 3.8 lengths off Jet Dark and Charles Dickens. So they've run to higher ratings than they have. And I think both of them have got a big plus sign next to them. Are the 3-year-olds going to be good enough to give them 3.5 kilos, 2.5 and 1 to beat them? At weight for age, remember, if this was a weight for age race, these horses would be giving the 3-year-olds 2 kilos. So a tough ask, a really tough ask for the 3-year-olds, because they seem to be carrying more and more weight every year. The question is always, is it the 3-year-olds, is it the older horses? I'm in the camp of the older, better handicapped horses this year. And I think the 3-year-olds are going to have to lift their game to beat these well-handicapped 4-year-olds.
Justin, not from your yard, who are you most worried about?
I think Mike has nailed Safe Passage's opportunity into this race with the way he ran in the Gold Challenge. I thought it was an unbelievable run. The position 5th means that you come into this race with confidence. You don't get handicapped like some of the other horses have. Like, take nothing, Raiden Holland's been brilliant into this race, but she's going to carry the weight. And the other trainer that I think has nailed it would be Michael Roberts. This horse has done everything they've asked of him. He got beaten in the Natal Guineas by Charles Dickens. He was a little bit unlucky. It's obviously on the short side. He comes out in the Daily News, goes around all of us, and wins that convincingly. You know, over the 2,200, he's going to get all of it, which is very rare sometimes for 3-year-olds, knowing that how much stamina these horses have without question and that.
In one sentence, who would you love to be riding this year?
I think See It Again is the horse they have to beat, but I would like to be riding Dave the King, tactically as a jockey.
Keegan, which horse are you going to be looking for in the race?
Tough one, but I think a horse like Winchester Mansion and obviously the 3-year-old that I think would pass the line first would be Without Question.
And then Atandiwe, who is the horse that you think will pose the biggest danger to your ride, Bless My Stars?
See It Again is he's an obvious danger, but just like Keegan as well, Without Questions, I think he's a danger.
Few thumbs up for, without question, Richard Fourie, Nick Johnson and Justin Snaith. Let's just quickly have a look at the top tips from all the guys, a lot of the scribes around South African racing, and see if we can formulate some sort of idea. There's Nico Kritsiotis, he's gone with Rain in Holland. Poor Rain in Holland on that front. We've got some big names there. Warren Linferno goes with See It Again. He's gone with the easy way out, tipping the horse at the top of the boards. You've got Suzette Viljoen, who's gone with second base, the biggest outsider in the race, and then, as Hollywood like to do, formulate a whole lot of rankings, and out on top there is See It Again with 127 points. So how that works is that the horses that are tipped in first are allocated a certain amount of points, second slightly less, much like the points in Formula 1, and then we've come out with the ruling favourite is See It Again, an overwhelming horse to beat according to 50 of South Africa's racing minds. Not all of them great, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Don't forget about the Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge, which has been running for a very, very long time. It's great fun to play. Absolutely love playing it. But this time, on the 1st of July, there's a 20 million rand bonus for somebody who tips all winners on the card. There's also guaranteed 1.5 million rand up for grabs. That must be won. That's a prize that you don't want to miss out on. Generally, on any bread and butter day, there's around 10,000 players, but I reckon on Hollywoodbets Durban July Day, we will get well over 20,000 players. Also, don't forget about the pools, the various tote pools, which will be in operation throughout the card. There's a pick six, which is targeted to reach 20 million rand. I reckon that's a bit conservative. That you'll need to be on by race number 4. The quartet for the Hollywoodbets Durban July expected to top 10 million rand as well. And there's also a third jackpot carryover, which is expected to get to 2 million rand. The pools, as always, will be out of the top draw. Open an account on the totes to get involved with all of those. And also get hold of your winning form, which we have all been using here. Those are available online. Winning form is your Bible for this particular card, as it always is, from Monday to Sunday. The other 11 races have been previewed or will be previewed. You can catch all that on various social media channels and also on Gallop TV. Lots of wisdom shared throughout the 11 races, I'm sure, so don't miss out on that. You can find some value and perhaps work out who you can work your trebles, doubles and multiples into on the card. It's been a great pleasure to be in your company for the last hour or so. Big thanks to Mike de Kock, Justin Snaith, Anthony Delpesh, Keegan de Mello and Atandiwe Mgudwa. We'll see you at Hollywoodbets Greyville on the 1st of July. Goodbye.